Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. I am Thanos 026. Marvel. I am Thanos Chapter 026. Watching Daisy John Xuan fly away with the ability of the shock wave, Gutn was envious, if only he could fly. At this time, the Ghost Rider also got back on his motorcycle and prepared to leave. Gutn stepped forward and scolded, "Did I let you go?" Quote. The evil spirit knight turned the eerie skull and said, "I don't fight people without weapons." Quote. Nima, despised again. What's wrong with Lao Su without weapons? He can still turn you over. The Ghost Rider rode on the Harley motorcycle, wrapped the fire chain around himself like a show-off, and said with a smile, "When do you have a weapon that can deal with my fire chain? Come and challenge me again." Quote. With that, the Ghost Knight roared away on his motorcycle. Gutn didn't chase. This guy is really not easy to deal with, and I don't know if this generation of evil spirit knights have the ability to, Eye of Judgment. If he stares at it, Gutn may be fine, but Aunt May estimates that she will burp. Are you all right? When the guy on the motorcycle left, Aunt May dared to come up and put her hands on Gutn's arms. Originally, Aunt May was a little angry that Gutn deceived her, but just now Gutn saved her life. And at this moment, she was very grateful to Gutn, and felt that Gutn was particularly handsome and a man. "I'm fine, I'm sorry, I just kissed you," Gutn said embarrassedly. A smile appeared on Aunt May's face. "It's okay, when I kissed you just now, I thought it was Peter, and I was very guilty after the kiss, but now I don't." Quote. Well, that's good. Gutn smiled, and the scene was a little embarrassing. The two were silent for a while, and Aunt May blushed a little and spoke, "If you want, you can stay here tonight." Quote. Although Aunt May is a woman who is dozens of years old, she has never asked a man to live in her house over the years, and this is the first time. The two returned to the room, and Gutn asked Aunt May something, and this time, Aunt May knew everything. Aunt May said, "After Peter disappeared, I was depressed for a while, and finally looked at his diary and knew that his dream was to be a superhero, and it happened that S.H.I.E.L.D. was recruiting agents, so I joined." Quote. Daisy John was originally a S.H.I.E.L.D. person, but 2 years ago, she betrayed S.H.I.E.L.D., and Coulson said that she may once again be controlled by someone called Hive or Ward. Oh, hearing this, Gutn was slightly surprised. The Hive really didn't die. Quote. The Hive is the true founder of Hydra, the product of the Kree people's experiments, a collection of parasites, and the first Inhumans in history. Because of their strength being too strong, they were exiled to alien planets by other Inhumans, and over the years, Hydra, including Red Skull, they all have a secret mission, which is to teleport to alien planets through boulders and save the Hive. With the help of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents Fitz and Simmons, the Hydras get their wish to bring the Hive back from an alien planet, and the Hive lives on a man named Grant Ward, who is Daisy John's ex-boyfriend. So, many people call the Hive, also called Ward. In Gutn's memory, Lincoln pulled the Hive together to self-detonate in space, but whether there was an explosion or not, whether the two died, no one knows. Could it be that the two of them were rescued while they were in space? It couldn't have been Captain Marvel, would it? Quote. Gutn began to guess this possibility. The two must have been saved in space, and the person who could save them in that situation, even if it was not Captain Marvel, would be only higher than her. Thinking of this, Gutn suddenly moved and thought of a plan. Since Daisy John was instructed by the Hive, that is, Ward, to become Ward, can't he approach her and gain her like? Gutn immediately asked the system, how many points is the shockwave woman worth? Quote. Target Daisy John. Identity. S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra agent, nicknamed Shockwave Woman. Character level. S grade. If the host gets Daisy John's like, it will get 10,000 points. After Gutn heard this, he nodded with satisfaction. The appearance of the Shockwave girl was very valuable, it was worth 10,000 points. However, now Gutn didn't want to exchange points for Ling Qingdan. Now his ability was already very strong, but he didn't have a decent weapon. When fighting with someone, the opponent is not willing to fight him, thinking that he is a poor ghost and cannot even afford a weapon. How can this be endured? Thanos, how could there be no weapons? I remember in Avengers 4, Thanos took a knife and smashed the shield of the American team, which is known as the hardest team in the world. Since even the shield of Team America can be chopped, then the chain of the evil spirit knight is definitely not a problem. Quote. System, is there an Ord machete used by Thanos in Avengers 4? I'm going to buy one. Quote. System. This object is called the Tyrant Butcher Knife, worth 7,000 points, and the host currently only has 3,000 points and cannot be redeemed. Quote. It turned out to be called the Tyrant Butcher Knife. Is 7,000 points. As long as you successfully get the likes of the Shockwave Girl, you can redeem it. Gutn quickly excitedly held Aunt May's hand and asked, Aunt May, do you know where Daisy John lives? Quote. Marvel. I am Thanos 027. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 027. Gutn touched Aunt May's hand at first. Aunt May was still a little uncomfortable, although her hand had been held by Gutn for the past few hours, but Aunt May did not know Gutn's true identity at that time. However, Aunt May did not refuse, and shook her head. I don't know where she lives, but I guess she will definitely go to Phil Coulson next. Quote. Gutn also nodded thoughtfully. Can you tell me where Coulson is? Also, what exactly was she looking for Coulson for? Quote. Aunt May was a little hesitant to tell a stranger these secrets. Seeing this, Gutn deliberately stimulated. Oh, it turns out that your agent level is too low, and you don't know the secret here. Quote. Before being ridiculed by Daisy John's agent level was too low, Aunt May was very unhappy, and now she was ridiculed by Gutn. Aunt May is a proud person since she was a child, naturally she can't listen to it. Aunt May proudly raised her head and straightened her chest. Who said I don't know? They are looking for Coulson for the Book of Darkness in Coulson's hands. Quote. The Book of Dark Gods. Gutn was slightly shocked. This book is really a divine book. According to legend, this book was written billions of years ago by the ancient god Sithorn, who fell into a demon, and the pages are blank, but the contents are revealed according to the reader's native language. The Book of Dark Gods can be said to be an encyclopedia. No matter what kind of puzzle you have, here will give you the answer. Someone uses this book to gain power, can directly create matter in the periodic table, and it is made out of nothing, without any material at all. It can be made out of thin air. There are also people who use this book to make a robot that is no different from humans, and the robot has also created a new world through the Book of God, and completely transformed itself from a robot into a normal human being with feelings and thoughts. So, anyone who reads this book will gain something, and the more powerful the person who reads it, the more powerful the thing created. However, although this book contains a lot of powerful black magic, its corruption effect is very strong. Even a good person, after using the Book of Dark God, will completely become a bad person, and the soul is driven by Sithorn. Seeing Gutn's surprised expression, Aunt May was a little surprised. You know the Book of Dark Gods? Quote. Gutn nodded. Of course, but I remember that the Book of Darkness was not taken away by Robbie, that is, the second cargo on a motorcycle just now. Quote. Aunt May said, after Chief Coulson learned that Hydra was looking for the Book of Darkness, he called Robbie over in advance and tricked the Book of Darkness away. Quote. Gutn understood why Robbie was also involved. Then why did Hydra look for this book? Gutn asked. Aunt May said, you were sent by Tony Stark. He should have told you what these Avengers have been up to lately, right? Quote. Hearing this, Gutn was suddenly shocked, holding Aunt May's hand, and accidentally fell vertically on her thigh. Gutn suddenly had a terrifying thought. Could it be that you already know our plan? Quote. Hearing Gutn say, we, Aunt May's face showed an expression of envy and adoration. You are also a member of the Avengers. Yes, we already know. You are ready to go back in time, collect the 6 gems, and resurrect the other half of all mankind who has disappeared. Quote. I'll go. We just had this plan. People haven't found it yet. Stark hasn't even made a time machine. How do you know? Gutn felt that this was also too terrifying. Aunt May smiled and said, it was the people of Hydra who knew about it first, and we learned about it later. Quote. Nima, the people of Hydra are really pervasive. It seems that Ant-Man, Team America, Black Widow, Hulk, or himself may have been followed by Hydra's people. You mean, the people of Hydra, after learning about our resurrection plan, began to look for the Dark God Book. What are they looking for the Dark God Book for? Gutn couldn't figure it out, but he vaguely guessed that what the Hive wanted to do must not be a good thing. Aunt May sighed and bent down slightly. At this moment Gutn felt that Aunt May's peaks had become smaller. Aunt May said, They think that the half of the people who resurrected and disappeared is a great opportunity for Hydra, and they want to find a way through the Book of Darkness to make half of the people who have been resurrected back by snapping their fingers, all of them becoming Hydra's people, all invading Hydra's mind. Quote, "Oh my god, can you still do that?" Gutn also felt a little outrageous. The people of Hydra were too daring to think about it, and their ambitions were too great, and they actually wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to resurrect half of the people and turn this half of them into Hydra people. In that case, isn't it not only that the Earth has more than half of the Hydra, but half of the universe is Hydra, and even those alien planets are ruled by Hydra? This hive really dares to think. Gutn was shocked, and quickly squeezed Aunt May's hand again. "Aunt May, quickly tell me where Coulson is, the Book of Darkness must not fall into their hands." Quote, "Marvel. I am Thanos 028. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 028. Aunt May was a little hesitant, but when she thought of Gutn's sacrifice to save her life just now, she told him the answer. Director Coulson's stealth plane is parked on the beach of South Beach. The plane is invisible, they should not be able to see. You don't go over now. If they stay around my house and follow us, we will be able to guide her." Quote. Gutn smiled, but he didn't expect that Aunt May was quite thoughtful. However, even if he didn't go to find Coulson, Gutn planned to go out to find Daisy John and become Grant Ward's look. Daisy John has 10,000 points on her, and if you receive this 10,000 points, you can buy the Ore Machete in Thanos Avengers 4, oh no, it should be called the Tyrant Butcher Knife. Gutn began to get up. "Aunt May, I am going to turn into the leader of Hydra now to approach Daisy John. Hydra's plan is likely to affect our Avengers resurrection plan, I must understand it in depth." Quote. Aunt May also stood up, a little reluctant, although she knew Gutn. The two had kissed for 10 minutes, and they had experienced such a life and death battle. Aunt May sent Gutn to the door and said with a smile, "You are welcome to come back at any time, Gutn." Quote. Gutn nodded and waved goodbye to Aunt May. Subsequently, Gutn imagined the appearance of Grant Ward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and transformed again, and after the transformation, he looked for the whereabouts of Daisy John in various places. Unconsciously, Gutn walked to the American Airlines Center Arena in downtown Miami, which is the home of the Miami Heat, but unlike in the previous life, this arena actually looks a little down. Gutn found that the light inside was still on, and out of curiosity, he walked in. Pushing open the damaged door, as soon as Gutn walked in, he saw a cool girl, holding a basketball, jumping from the midcourt position, and then flying directly to the basket to dunk. It was the Daisy John message that Gutn was looking for. Snap. Gutn stood at the door and clapped his hands, his face serious, only with a hint of a smile. After Daisy John saw Gutn's current appearance, she looked frightened, quickly walked over, and said respectfully, "Hail Hydra." Quote. Hearing Daisy John's words, Gutn couldn't help but think of watching Avengers 4. The American team traveled to 2012, and said this sentence to a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were actually Hydra in the elevator, and after saying it, the cinema burst into laughter and applause. This sentence not only seems witty, allowing the American team to get the gem, but also pays tribute to the comic at the same time. Hail Hydra. Gutn is now Ward's appearance, that is, the leader of the Hydra hive, naturally he has to follow along. Gutn reprimanded very seriously. "Daisy, I asked you to find the whereabouts of Coulson and the Book of Darkness, you actually used your superpower to play here." Quote. Daisy explained with a look of trepidation. "I'm sorry, I'm looking for Coulson here, can't help but play a little, I won't be so inattentive anymore, please forgive me." Quote. Gutn now wanted to get Daisy's favor, and didn't want to make himself so unkind, so he suddenly became gentle, caressed Daisy's face with his hand, and said, "Daisy, it's not that I don't want to give you time to have fun and relax, it's just that the Avengers don't know when they will make a time machine. Once they start planning, if we haven't found the Book of Darkness, we won't be able to complete my plan." Quote. Daisy was very ashamed and knelt directly on the ground. "Please forgive Lord Hive." Quote. Gutn looked at Daisy condescendingly. Daisy was different from several girls she met before, although her appearance alone was not as good as Kathy, Black Widow and Aunt May, but she had half yellow blood, which was more in line with the aesthetics of Gutn's previous life. Moreover, Now Daisy kneels to Gutn at every turn, and this feeling of being the boss is very cool. Get up. Gutn personally helped Daisy up. Daisy asked curiously, didn't you go to another planet to find help? How did it suddenly come back? Quote. Gutn was suddenly stunned, Nani? The real hive is not on Earth now, but on another planet. And you went to another planet to find help. What to do with help? Could it be that when the Avengers collect the 6 gems, they will snatch them? Lying Groove, it's ruthless enough. Gutn remembered that in Avengers 4, in 2023, there was no Hydra to snatch the 6 gems, but Gutn's crossing into this world has caused a lot of timeline changes, and the plot naturally cannot be completely according to Avengers 4. Oh, I found some, because I was worried about you, so I specially came back to see. Gutn said casually. After hearing this, Daisy lowered her head in shame. I'm really useless, I can't even help you do this thing. Quote. Gutn comforted in a soft voice. Don't blame yourself, you are the person I trust the most. I believe you will definitely be able to help me find Coulson and the Book of Darkness, and then, when the Avengers retrieve the 6 gems from the past, I will take the helpers from the alien planet, kill them all, and snatch the gems. Quote. After that, I will use the Book of Darkness again, and when I snap my fingers, I will not only resurrect the half of the people who disappeared, but also make them all become our Hydra people. At that time, half of the entire universe will belong to Hydra. At that time, you will be Madam Hydra, ruling the entire universe with me. Marvel. I am Thanos 029. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 029. Gutn entered the role quite quickly. Since becoming the boss of Hydra, he stood in the position of Hydra to think about problems, made up a plan to deal with the Avengers, and coaxed the Shockwave girl with rhetoric by the way. The current Shockwave woman, Daisy John, who was already controlled by the hive, obeyed him, and after hearing these words, tears burst out of her eyes with excitement. Daisy John's voice trembled. You said, let me be Madam Hydra. Rule the universe with you. Quote. This big cake that Gutn painted for Daisy made Daisy very hungry and ruled the universe, which is something that no one can refuse, and Daisy is also an ambitious person. Gutn pretended to look at Daisy affectionately and said, you forgot, I still have Ward's memory on me, you are the woman I love the most. Quote. Daisy was completely deceived by Gutn's words, and took the initiative to kiss Gutn. Is it so direct? Gutn was a little frightened. Although Daisy John news looks good, but recently Gutn has experienced a lot of beautiful women. To be honest, the food is a little full. For Daisy John Shuin, it doesn't matter if you want it or not. However, since everyone took the initiative to send them to the door, Gutn would expose his identity if he didn't accept it. System. Congratulations on getting Daisy Johnson's like, you get 10,000 points. Quote. Got another 10,000 points. Coupled with the previous 3,000 points, Gutn now has 13,000 points, 7,000 points to buy the Tyrant Butcher knife. There are 6,000 points left, enough for Gutn to buy 2 Ling Qingdan. Gutn couldn't wait and wanted to exchange it now, but Daisy John didn't give Gutn a chance at all, and when he heard it, he was about to become Lady Hydra and dominate the entire universe and directly knock Gutn down. Daisy is really a little wave hoof. Gutn finally understood. The most interesting thing is that every time she is happy between the two, she will call, Hail Hydra, which lasted for an hour of fighting. Daisy didn't know that she called hundreds of thousands of Hail Hydra, making Gutn very helpless. Meanwhile, Robbie the Ghost Rider is riding his Harley motorcycle around Miami looking for Phil Coulson's whereabouts, but after more than an hour, there is still no clue. At this time, when he came to the beach of South Beach, his face had changed from a skull to a normal face, and the fire on his body had disappeared. It's so hot, go take a shower in the sea. Robbie rode his motorcycle and drove towards the sea. The motorcycle was fast, there were shelters on the beach and signs warning not to approach, which Robbie simply ignored. Just kidding, he is a person who has died once, and he has made a deal with the devil. What danger hint does he need to care about? After a few seconds, only listen to the bang. The motorcycle didn't know what it hit, and it flew directly in the air, and Robbie also fell out tens of meters away. Hell, did I hit something? Obviously there is nothing. Robbie fell a little confused, and suddenly soberly thought, Could it be a shield stealth plane? Coulson is here. Quote. When Robbie just had this idea, he saw a huge plane suddenly appear in the seemingly empty area, and the plane had started and was ready to go. Robbie quickly transformed into an evil spirit rider, waved the chain of fire and tied the tail of the plane, and while dragging Coulson, he immediately asked his accomplice Daisy for help. Daisy. Shockwave woman. Can you hear me? I found Coulson. In South Beach, Speed comes to support. They're leaving, I can't drag it out for long. Quote. At this time, Daisy was in the Miami Heat's home basketball stadium with GUTN. Fortunately, the two had just finished a big battle, otherwise, with Daisy's concentration just now, he would definitely not hear Robbie's call signal. It's Robbie. He found Coulson. Daisy John instantly perked up, and she immediately said to GUTN, I'll fly over. Quote. Wait, take me along. GUTN can't fly, fortunately the Hive can't fly. Daisy John nodded and took GUTN's hand with a smile. Just now you took me to fly to the sky, now I will take you to fly. GUTN was embarrassed. This Daisy is not old, set to drive quite colorful. Daisy John launched a shockwave and flew to South Beach with GUTN. At this time, Robbie was already a little unable to drag, and the plane was about to break free from Robbie and take off. At this moment, Daisy John attacked directly at the plane, damaging one of the plane's wings. Coulson, come out quickly. Daisy walked towards the exit of the plane. A few minutes later, a man walked up from the plane, a middle-aged white man, not tall, somewhat topped, in a suit. He was Phil Coulson, now the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing Phil Coulson, GUTN couldn't help but be a little happy. This person is really faithful. The Battle of New York was stabbed to death by Loki, and then resurrected with the alien drug GH325. After resurrection, he died again because he was possessed by the Ghost Knight, and he also broke an arm because of touching Terry Jing, but he is still jumping alive. GUTN stood aside, feeling that even if he didn't help, this hard-lived old guy might not die. Marvel. I am Thanos 030. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 030. Phil Coulson calmly walked down the ramp of the plane, not wearing any weapons, because he knew that no weapon was useful in the face of the two superpowers of Shockwave Girl and Ghost Rider. In addition, Coulson has never regarded them as enemies, and once regarded Daisy as his daughter. Coulson stepped on the beach and walked towards Daisy. Daisy, sober up, you are controlled by the guy behind you, you have been like this before, and now it is not the real you at all. Quote. Daisy let out a sneer. Old fellow, less nonsense, now this is the real me, my Shockwave Girl will soon be famous in the entire universe. Hand over the Book of Darkness. Quote. The evil spirit knight on the side also shouted, quickly return the book to me. Quote. This book is not yours in the first place, I just let you take it to another dimension. Coulson looked at the Ghost Rider and said, then turned to Daisy, and his tone was much softer. I have given this book to Nick Fury, and you know his relationship with the Avengers, I am afraid you will have to go to the Avengers to ask for it. Quote. Although the Shockwave Woman and the Evil Spirit Knight are very strong, if they are against Team Shangmei, Hulk, Iron Man, and Thor, they are still absolutely at a disadvantage. Listening to Coulson's answer, Daisy John smiled contemptuously. Do you think I will believe you? Nick Fury has long been asking about these things, besides, there has been no news of him in the past few years, it may have long been turned to ashes, and the Book of Dark God is definitely still in your hands. Quote. The evil spirit knight on the side waved the chain of fire with both hands and said impatiently, it seems that he has to make him suffer a little before he is willing to say. Quote. The Ghost Knight swung the chain of fire directly at Coulson, but just as it was about to hit him, a man grabbed the chain in advance with one hand. Lord Hive, the evil spirit knight was also driven by the Hive now, so he was very puzzled to see GUTN stop him from forcing a confession. GUTN has no leisure to continue to play the head of the Hydra, it is too boring, and from time to time he has to bear the risk of being pressed under Daisy for an hour. It's terrible, is there any? Listening to Hail Hydra hundreds of times is crazy. Therefore, GUTN directly changed back to its original form. What, are you the kid just now? The Ghost Knight was surprised. The most shocking thing was Daisy John, she was so angry that her body couldn't help but emit some shocks, and said angrily, you bastard, you actually pretended to be Lord Hive, and gave me, how dare you cuckold Lord Hive. Quote. What? You and him? The evil spirit knight was stunned again when he heard this, and complained slightly, it's better to follow me. Quote. Gutn hurriedly said. Daisy, this should be made clear, I just flattered you just now, cuckolding this kind of thing, you took the initiative to do it, I was also forced, okay. You think I like to hear you do it once and call, long live Hydra. Quote. You, shameless. Daisy John was about to explode, and when she thought of just working so hard to please him, she was ashamed to shake a hole out of the beach and get in. I'm going to kill you. Daisy John stretched out her hands and launched a shock wave to attack Gutn. At the same time, the evil spirit knight also wielded a chain of fire and attacked Gutn. Run. Coulson knew the power of the two. Because he was worried about Gutn's safety, he immediately pulled Gutn and was about to run, but was thrown aside by Gutn's gentle force. What, Shield Chief? While playing, don't bother me to fight, okay. Gutn grabbed the fire chain with one hand and resisted Daisy's attack with the other, while 1 against 2, still did not fall behind. Oh my god, is he an inhuman too? His strength turned out to be so strong, how did I never know? As the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he had never heard of this figure. You know, S.H.I.E.L.D. exists to deal with those who have superpowers, and he is completely ignorant of Gutn, which makes Coulson feel very ashamed. Although Gutn showed strong strength, the evil spirit knight still disdained. Without weapons, you will always eat chains. Look at the move. Quote. Saying that, the evil spirit knight waved the chain of fire towards Gutn again. Who said Lao Su has no weapons? Gutn shouted and immediately spent 7,000 points from the system to buy a Tyrant Butcher knife. System. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the artifact, Tyrant Butcher. This weapon is specially made for Thanos, produced on the planet Nidoe, and is made of the most powerful material in the universe. Quote. Oh, this dragon-slaying knife, oh no, the Tyrant Butcher knife, turned out to be the same as Thor's Storm Axe, all from the dwarf planet Nidoe, no wonder it is so powerful. I saw that Gutn had an extra big knife in his hand out of thin air, and he slashed at the chain of fire that was swinging towards him. Click. A crisp voice sounded, and the chain of the evil spirit knight was instantly cut off. What? That's impossible. Seeing his chain cut off, the Ghost Rider panicked. Gutn brandished the Tyrant Butcher knife and said domineeringly, don't think that if you gain the power of the devil, you are invincible. In my eyes, the demon is a fart. Let's take it. Quote. Please like and subscribe.